guys, it's Thursday. You know, it's one of my favorite days of the week. Thankful Thursday, and there's so much to be grateful for. One of the things that I'm grateful for are all of you who are showing up here every single week to participate and to experience from ordinary to extraordinary. And let me just remind you, you're already extraordinary, no question about it. Just the fact that you're here, not here on this show, but here on this planet at this particular time means you have a very special and unique gift and a purpose to fulfill here. You wouldn't be here otherwise. And so you need to find that. You need to go after it. The other thing I'm really thankful for with all of you who are showing up here every single week and participating is those of you who are sharing consistently this show, these episodes, with your tribe and all the people that you connect with. Help me help you help the people that you love and care about. Because you see, what we need in this world right now is we need hope, right? We all need hope. We need the ability to hope that we can create a better life. And we need to first have hope. And that's not where we want to stay. We want to move beyond hope. But hope has to come first. And there has to be a spark to say, hey, I am great. Now, you see, there might be some people who would say to you, if you were to say that, and I'm not suggesting that you do, just know it, that there's something wrong with that. No, you shouldn't be great. You should downplay yourself. You should be humble. And you know, there's a lot of false humility out there, and I'm not a big advocate of that. Everyone's great, and everyone is uniquely great, and so that means you. And so let me just tell all of you who have shared this and who are spreading hope and spreading opportunity and spreading new thinking, radical thinking in some cases. Today is going to be radical. What else is new? Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Let me just do a quick shout out to all of you who continually do that. Anthony Rogers, since day one. Anthony Rogers, you've been here. You've been commenting, you've been applying, you're changing your life, and you're sharing every single week. I think you shared twice last week to different pages, and I really, truly appreciate you, man. I really do. Francisco, my new friend, Francisco Marisi. Francisco, thank you so much for sharing in your part of the world. Of course, as we share here, we share worldwide, but I'm so happy to have you as a friend and as a fellow student here on this journey. Marta Reyes. What else need I say? Marta and I go way back. Marta used to run the audio-visual for all my live events back when I did a plethora of live events. I used to be on the road about 250 days a year. That's a lot. And so, anyway, Marta, thank you so much for continuing to share and for your continued comments and input. Julie Du Bois, Julie, thank you. I haven't heard from you for a long, long time. And I really appreciate you tuning in. I know you said in your comments that you don't often listen to longer videos. I'm doing my best here, babe. You know, short is not really my forte, but I'm working on it, okay? Thank you for sharing. Angela I'm going to get this right. Keanaina. I hope I got that right. I believe that's Hawaiian. I love the Hawaiian Islands. I studied there for years. Angela, thank you for sharing. Nina Feathers, Mustafa Saad, thank you so much for sharing with your friends and family. Radislav Banak. Radislav, you become quite the regular here, and I really appreciate your friendship. Sunstar Media, Gratitude 366. How do you have 366 when there's only 365 days in a year? I'm not quite sure, but Kristen, I know who you are. And Kristen used to actually dream team a lot of my live events and give of her time, heart, and energy to support people who were attending. So Kristen, I really appreciate you being here. And thanks so much for sharing on all your pages. And then Abanar Kumar, Mr. Kumar, you've become quite the regular as well. And I'm looking forward to getting over into your part of the world live here in 2017. That's the plan anyway. So this is episode 20 in From Ordinary to Extraordinary, where every single week we explore the mindset or the psychology and the strategies or the action and application of mastery, genius, greatness. If you have questions and we have time, put them here in the feed. And as always, I'll address them live. I love to do that. We are live, so take advantage of it. If you don't have a question now, or I can't get to it, or you're watching the replay, then put the question here, and I do my best to get on top of all of them, and I think you know that because many of you have asked me for additional information. Now, the title of this week is Forget Balance, Choose Mastery. Now, I'm going to be provocative here today, as I always am, because you see, if you're going to become great, you've got to learn to think for yourself. That's autonomy. That's what psychology calls an autotelic personality. The autotelic individual sets his or her own goals. Not what they've been programmed, that society says is important, but they set their own goals. You're going to have to walk your own walk. You're going to have to think your own way. You know, if you're going to think like the masses, you might as well go back to bed, right? Because if you're not bringing your own unique thoughts to the world, and that includes with what I'm saying. If you disagree with me, God bless you, disagree with me. You know, and we'll have an exchange, and all I ask is that you keep an open mind. So I'm going to push the collective consciousness here today. And I want you to write this in your notes. And you know, handwritten notes engage the right brain, which helps with whole brain thinking. And so, you know, in this age of technology, we're losing that ability. You know, motion creates emotion. You notice emotion. It moves the body to act. And so put this in your notes. You ready? Balance is bullshit. Okay, I said it. I said it. Have you ever wanted more balance in your life? You know, a lot of people talk about balance. And I'm here to tell you that balance is complete bullshit. And if you know anything about my teachings and my philosophy, I've been saying this all the way back to 2006 and all the way up to now. You know, in my last New York Times bestseller, Harmonic Wealth, I talked about it. How balance is, I didn't say bullshit. Then I think I said baloney, or I said bogus. But it's a B word, whatever it is. And it's also a bitch, because let me tell you something. Balance is impossible. In fact, I'm going to tell you to at least consider that this concept that so many people want to talk about called balance creates more angst, it creates more pain, it creates more suffering, and it creates more mediocrity than maybe any other topic, at least as much. Have I got your attention? Have you ever wanted more balance in your life? If you answer yes, then you're in the majority, because we've all, you know, I remember I used to talk about balance years and years and years ago until I woke up. And hopefully I'll help you kind of wake up here today, because balance and mastery cannot coexist in the same space. An individual in pursuit of his or her mastery is not going after balance. They have harmony. And there's a difference, big difference. And you say, James, you're just playing with semantics or words. No, I'm not. There's a big difference. Have I got your attention? You see, a lot of people talk about balance, particularly in this industry, right? I mean, I was doing a television interview just recently, and the gentleman interviewing me said, I bet you talk a lot to your clients about balance, don't you? And I said, no, not at all. Obviously, you haven't done your homework, because I've been blowing out balance since 2006 at least, if not earlier. And here's the thing. All those people running around talking about and preaching about balance are not balanced. Not one of them. Not one of them. Balance is impossible. Now, I hope I'm giving you some relief here today, because if you pursue balance, then you've been in frustration and angst, right? Balance is impossible. And even more importantly, it's a complete focus on lack and limitation. Now, grab one of the former episodes. I believe, how many weeks ago was it, Bear? We talked about there is no lack, maybe 2-3 episodes ago. You know, if you want to scroll forever in Facebook, you can do that and find it. There is no lack was the episode. I don't know what the number is. Or you can just go to jamesray.com/live-cast. And we have them all banked there so you can find them a lot easier. But here's the thing. Balance is a focus on lack and limitation. Balance is the collective objective for the cult of mediocrity. You're like, whoa, James, you're like, this isn't making any sense to me. You know, I've been putting out messages about this all week long on Instagram and Pinterest and Snapchat and, you know, Facebook and Twitter. And people are coming back and going, wait a second, right? Because this is very contrary to how we've been taught and told. And yet, again, if you're going to become great, you're going to have to learn to think for yourself. You might not agree with me, and that's okay. I respect that. I don't expect you to. Don't take anything I say at face value. Check it out for yourself. Check your own experience. Do your own research. Do your own study. But here's my experience. I have never in my life found one highly successful and fulfilled individual, not one, who even thinks about balance. Not one. They just live. They just live. And they give every single thing they have to their cause, to their purpose. They give every single thing they have to their one thing. I was doing a coaching session yesterday with a young lady, and she goes, oh, I can do this, and I can do this, and I've got this opportunity. That. I'm like, wait a second. No. How many horses can you ride successfully at the same time? She's like, one. That's right. You've got to pick your one thing. It takes a lot of courage to do that. And you better pick the one thing that is your thing, because most of us are picking the one thing that is not our thing. And that's a whole other topic which we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about. But let's break this down. Have I got your attention about balance? All right? Bear's shaking her head yes. See, Bear gets sucked into the presentation here, even though she's supposed to be producing the presentation. but she's my one, live response over here. I see her in the background shaking her head yes. So I've got your attention. So let's break this down logically. All right? And these are steps for your notes. I'm going to give you 4 logical steps, and you see if they resonate, if they make sense to you. Number 1, no one is perfectly balanced. No one. No one. It's impossible. Now, check this out. Look at a scale in perfect balance. And let me ask you, what's happening? Nothing. Put this in your notes. In perfect balance, nothing happens. It's static. It doesn't move. It's dead. It's not alive. In perfect balance, nothing happens. You with me on this? Can you see the 2 scales here? Now, that's not life. I mean, everything in this energy, in this world rather, is energy. I just gave you the answer. Life is energy. Science tells us that, and energy is dynamic. Point number 2, science proves that energy always moves. It flows. It vibrates. All the way back when the law of attraction was the big buzz, everyone talked about the law of attraction as if it was a primary law. It's not a primary law. It's a secondary law. The primary law is the law of vibration, and that is a scientific law. Everything has a resonance, has a frequency, has a currency, and it vibrates. And so consequently, how in the hell, are you following the visual? How in the hell can we in an energetic universe be in perfect balance? The answer is we can't. Because life is energy. Energy always flows. It dips, it ebbs, it rises, it lowers. You with me so far? Point number 3. Since the concept of everything being in so-called perfect balance, which we hear about, is impossible, those who are focusing on achieving it, they're focusing on achieving what's impossible. It's like me saying to you, I want you to focus on going to the moon by jumping. Just jumping. All right? That's all you, just jump. That's your objective. It's impossible. You know, not even Michael Jordan can go to the moon. He can maybe go to a star, but he can't go to the moon by just jumping. It's impossible. And so all these people who are focusing on being in balance are focusing on something that is impossible. What they're focusing on is something they don't have. That's also called lack. It's also called limitation. Energy flows where attention goes. Are you thinking? If you're focusing on lack and limitation, if you're focusing on what you don't have, then you're giving energy to what you don't have, and guess what? Never will if you're going after balance. Because energy ebbs and flows. You can't stop energy any more than you can stop a locomotive train with your bare hands. You see, and it also then, I go back to something I already said, it creates a lot of angst. It creates a lot of guilt. It creates a lot of frustration. I can't tell you how many moms I've talked to who anguish over the fact that they're not balanced. I can't tell you how many dads I talk to who anguish over the fact that they're not balanced. Well, guess what? Neither am I. I don't even want to think about it. I never think about balance. Balance is for the cult of mediocrity. Balance is focusing on something that can't be achieved. I want to think about my one thing. And I want to think about every single thing that feeds into that one thing so that I make sure and accomplish that one thing. And I want to become great at it. And I want to become, bring my gifts to the world. And I want to give everything I have. I want to go to bed every single night completely tired and yet inspired, knowing that I left it all on the field. And so point number 4, I've already given it to you, is because they're focusing on something that cannot be achieved, then they're focusing on lack and limitation. Let me repeat the axiom I've said for years and years and years, and you probably know me for this. Energy flows where attention goes. If you're always giving your energy and your attention to what's not there, you're going to create more of what's not there. Focusing on lack and limitation and what's not there creates more lack and limitation and what's not there. Is this making sense to you? This is incredibly practical. The vast majority of people in this world now are entrepreneurs. So chances are great you're an entrepreneur. I love entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are who I work with because entrepreneurs change the world. Robert Herjavec, who is a great entrepreneur, I think we could all agree, said if you want to have balance, don't start a business. And a lot of people go, whoa, no, I don't want to hear that, You see, you move towards what you focus on. What you give attention to must grow. You with me on this? And so, let me give you an example. Let's use the famous high wire artist, Karl Wallenda. Karl Wallenda and the Wallenda family, the Flying Wallendas, world famous. And you might say to me, well, James, Karl Wallenda fell to his death. True. Now, and he was always doing these stupendous things on a high wire, things that just boggle the mind. And at one point, he fell off the wire and he died. And so, I didn't get to interview Karl Wallenda. He was really before my time, which means he's probably before your time too, but you can look him up. But here's what I would guess. I would guess that Karl Wallenda, there's no other way he would rather go. He did say, life is on the wire. All the rest is waiting. I love that quote. And so, Wallenda, now here's the really interesting point. Because his widow was interviewed after his death, and she said, it's really interesting. She said Karl he was always about bigger, better, more stupendous, more incredible. Karl really loved to go after what everyone thought was impossible. By the way, let me just tell you, impossible is not a fact. It's just a perception. It's just an opinion. And please don't let other people's opinions of what you're capable of or what is impossible keep you limited and stuck. But she said, you know, he's always going after bigger, better, bolder. And then, you know, a few months, interestingly enough, a few months before his death, he had a nightmare that he had fallen. He fell to his death. You know, precognitive, I don't know. But he had this nightmare that he had fallen to his death. And she said, at that moment, something shifted in Karl. Something shifted, because up to that point, it was always bigger, better, bolder, stronger, faster, more stupendous, you know, overcome the impossible odds. At that moment, when he had that nightmare, I saw a shift in his behavior. He became obsessed with not falling. Are you listening? He was out checking the wire to see how taut it was. He was making sure everything was buckled down tight. He was looking at all the safety measures and the angles and the winds. He was obsessed with not falling. Energy flows where attention goes. What are you obsessed about? Because you see, an obsession is only negative when it's a limiting obsession. When it's a negative obsession, when it's something that keeps you from your good, God, and great. Are you obsessing about your bills today? Are you obsessing about payroll? Are you obsessing about the rent that's not even due yet? You know, I can't tell you how many times people obsess about their rent and it's the 15th of the month. And I go, wait a second, it's not due to the 1st. Yeah, but I don't have the money. It's not due yet. Why are you obsessing about that? It's not even here yet. You know, how many people do I know that go out of the future and completely fail and screw up and mess up, and then they bring it back into the now and they obsess about it? That's called using your imagination, your creative faculties in the wrong direction. You know, if you're going to use your imagination, you're just making that shit up anyway. If you're going to use your imagination, go out of the future and succeed massively. Crush it. And then come back to now and obsess about that. Damn, let's celebrate now because I'm going to crush it. It's just your imagination anyway. How are you using your image ability? What are you imaging in your mind? Well, Karl Wallenda imaged falling to his death, and guess what? Energy flows where attention goes. You see, imagine with me for a moment that you're skiing down a mountain, and I don't ski anymore. Last time I skied, I broke my leg, and you know, I don't like cold anyway. You know, I like to look at snow in pictures. But so if you live where there's snow, you know, the only thing I can say to you is why. But nonetheless, I like to look at it in pictures. So I've been skiing a few times, and you know, imagine you're skiing down a mountain full tilt. You with me? Just imagine this for a moment. You're skiing down a mountain full tilt, and right in front of you is a big boulder. Now, if you're going to be successful dealing with that boulder, where are you going to have to direct your attention? Well, if you're wise, you're going to say, well, James, I need to direct my attention to the left or to the right. Right? What happens if you direct your attention at the boulder? Oh my God, it's a big boulder. It's right there in front of me. What's going to happen if I hit that boulder? Bam! You're going to run right into the boulder. You move towards what you focus on. What you give attention to must grow. Now, remember, we're talking about how balance is a crock. All right? And if you're giving your attention to something that is impossible, you're going to constantly not experience the abundance, and you're going to obsess about something that you cannot ever achieve. You see, I'm being really raw here today, as you can tell, and sometimes certain words just drive the point home. A high wire artist doesn't give a shit about balance when he's successful. A high wire artist is obsessed. When he's successful, he's obsessed with one thing. He's not thinking about his bills. He's not thinking about, his payroll. He's not thinking about anything except that wire. Whatever it takes to stay on that wire and get to his goal. Napoleon stated, I see only the goal. All obstacles must give way. Damn. That just came through me. I hadn't planned on saying that today either, but that's a great quote. It's a great philosophy of life. And so, if you look at a high wire artist, if we continue with this metaphor, he's dipping, he's swerving, he's swaying back and forth, he's up and down. He's not in perfect balance. Give me a frickin' break. It's this way and that way and this way and that way and constantly making adjustments, right? That's harmony. That's what I call harmony. And, it's not just semantics. It's not just semantics, because life and energy is movement. Harmony is movement. I'm going to challenge you, encourage you, invite you to adopt harmony in your life today, to adopt the philosophy of harmony. This takes a critical shift in your way of thinking. Harmony is like a dance. Sometimes you're going to be pulling, if you're an entrepreneur, which you probably are, let me just tell you straight up, sometimes you're going to pull 16-hour days, and particularly when you're bootstrapping it, particularly when you're first starting, and if you're not willing to go all in, then you don't want it bad enough. You're going to pull 16-hour days, you're going to work 7 days a week. For me, if I was looking at balance, I would feel like a miserable, frustrated, unfulfilled failure, because a 12-hour day for me is an easy day. It's an easy day. 12 hours is easy. I'm just getting warmed up, right? 7 days a week. I'm not looking forward to vacations and time off and weekends. The only reason I love weekends is because things are a little more quiet and I can get more accomplished and get caught up on more things and write more things and think more things and do more things to fulfill my purpose and my mission in this world. You say, see, that's harmony. Sometimes you go to a great concert. A great concert. I went and saw Sting and Peter Gabriel at the Hollywood Bowl a couple months back. Off the hook. Off the hook. And sometimes they're leading with a guitar, and sometimes Peter Gabriel is leading, and sometimes Sting is leading, and sometimes it's a drum solo, and sometimes it's the woodwinds, and sometimes it's the brass, and it's not always everything at the same time. Everything, that's harmony. Everything playing at the same tempo and the same pitch and the same pace and the same volume, that's called heavy metal. Right? Or boring elevator music. Because great music has ups and downs and crashes and low and highs and all these different things. Are you with me? And that's what life is all about. When the cymbals crash and the drums thunder, then we begin to recognize that's all part of this beautiful concerto that we call life. It's not balance. It's big. It's living and living big. Forget balance. Forget it. Be grateful for the ups and the downs. You would never, ever, ever, ever go to a movie that didn't have a strong protagonist called the hero and a strong antagonist called the villain that's doing everything to try to keep the hero from becoming heroic. Are you following the metaphors here? I certainly hope that you are. Because you see, one of the things I'm truly, truly committed to and truly passionate about is to being flat out, straight up, raw, real, and honest with you. Because a lot of people aren't. A lot of people just aren't. You know, a lot of people are selling what they think you want to hear. And I'm more concerned with giving you what you need. Get the difference? You know, you might want to hear that the universe has your back, and the universe, you know, wants you to have an easy life and a smooth life and a brand new car and millions of dollars, and all you got to do is learn this little marketing technique and you'll get all the clicks and all the opt-ins, and boy, you just do the webinar and they'll come running with their wallets. Well, it's just not true. It's just not true. What's true is that you're going to have to go all in. What's true is you're going to have to forget balance. You're going to have to sit down with your family, your loved ones, with your team, with yourself, and say, look, you know, for right now, I'm building a business. It's going to take everything I have. I'm not going to take a lot of vacations. You know, sit down with your family and have a heart-to-heart with them and say, look, kids, I love you. And right now, Mommy, Daddy are building a business, and it's going to take everything we have, and we need your help. We need your understanding. We're not going to go to Disneyland this year, and because we're building a business. We're not going to take a lot of, you know, meals out. We're not going to take a lot of trips. We're not going to take a lot of days off. We're going to buckle down, and we're going to create something meaningful, and we're going to create something that leaves a legacy, and you can be a part of that. And I need your help in that. Now, it's not going to go on like that forever, but right now, particularly in startup mode, or particularly when I'm going through a dip, which we all do, that's what it takes. And I'm not going to go to the gym as much. I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm maybe not going to do a double split, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, because you know what? I got bigger things to do in the world. You know, I'm maybe not going to go 7 days a week. I'm going to go 3 days a week. You know, I'm going to go to the gym where I'm going to eat healthfully. I'm going to meditate. Maybe I'm not going to meditate for 2 hours. I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. I'm going to make that commitment. I'm never, ever, ever going to let go of my relationships and of my family and totally disregard those, because that's when you break. But the reality is that you have a commitment with those that you work with on your team and those you love in your life, and most importantly with yourself, and you say, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to pay the price for my prize. And I'm going to live the life now that most people won't, so I will live the life that most people never will. And you know what's great about that? When you come to the end of it all, I don't think there's not one person who's going to look back and go, oh, I was balanced. Because even if they had it as an objective, they're not going to be able to say it. But they're going to look back and go, this is why I was here. And it's not just about business, but you see, chances are great you're an entrepreneur, because that's who I work with and that's who follows me. But it's about your family too. Maybe your greatness in this world is to be a great mom. That's your calling. Maybe it's to be a great dad. Maybe it's to, you know, do a myriad of things. To be a musician, to bring beautiful music that inspires people to the world. Music moves the soul. Right? To paint great art, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but you have something that you're here to do. And when you come to the end of it all, you need to be able to look back, which most people can't, and say, that's why I'm here. That is what I'm leaving behind. That is why I was on this planet at this particular time of incredible shift. You feel it? I mean, look at Brexit. Look at our new president. Look at all the things that are happening in the world. Look at the economy. We're in a time of incredible shift. You know, and the pessimist looks at things and goes, oh, we're going to hell in the handbasket. And the optimist goes, oh, it's all going to be okay. Just, you know, just forget about it and just trust. And the activist. You see, I'm not an optimist. I'm an activist. An activist resides right in the middle of a pessimist and an optimist. An optimist is all rainbows and unicorns. A pessimist is all thorns and storms. An activist says, hey, it's all here. And guess what? It's part of the transition. For anything new to be birthed, there has to be a struggle. Things need to change. And it's not going to change smoothly. Disruptive change is uncomfortable. Discontinuous change is uncomfortable. And you are a part of that. You know, this sounds quite mystical, but I firmly believe that you would not be here at this particular moment in history, facing the challenges that you're facing, and given the gifts that you have, if you weren't meant to be here, if you didn't have a special part to play. And so you want to come to the end of it all and you want to go, I did it, you know? That's why I was here. And you want to have a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment, that I stayed the course, that I was resilient, that I had fortitude to do it against all odds. So, yeah, I get fired up. I hope you do too. Let me give you 3 tips, and we'll reel it in. You know, haven't seen any questions come in. If you need additional explanations or you want to put your comments, please do. You know, questions aren't coming in, so maybe you're just kind of like, I blew you out on the first thing. Balance is bullshit. Hopefully you're still with me here. 3 tips. 3 tips. Number 1, nothing lasts forever. I want you to get this. Whether it's pleasure or pain, loss or gain, nothing lasts forever. All things in this life pass like mist in the noonday sun. If you're having a tough time right now, it's going to pass. I understand it. I won't minimize it. I know the feeling. If you're on top of the world right now, it's going to pass. All pain and pleasure pass. All loss and gain pass. Everything, nothing lasts forever. Get that, and it will change your life. Number 2, understand this, and put this in your notes. The majesty of a mountain. You know, mountains have inspired our race, the human race, since antiquity. The majesty of a mountain is only majestic. The only reason it's majestic is because it towers over a deep valley. The majesty of a mountain is only majestic because it stands against an empty sky. That's the law of polarity. Do you get the metaphor? Without the deep valleys, there's no majestic mountain. Without an empty meaning nothing in its sky, there's no majestic mountain. Let me promise you, when the odds are stacked against you, it makes the victory all the sweeter. You know, when you study mythology, the greatest heroes fought the greatest odds, and that's why they're heroes. They're not heroes without the great antagonists, the great odds that we talked about. Number 3, so if you understand those first 2 points, then you begin to learn to appreciate and embrace and love the ups and the downs. Doesn't mean you're always going to like it. I don't like it, quite frankly. You know, there's going to be a lot of times when you don't prefer it, you don't like it, but you're going to appreciate the fact, okay, right now I'm in a deep valley, and that just means my mountain is going to be all that more majestic. Because what? Point number 1, nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. Valley never lasts forever. The hero is only a hero because of the challenges and the adversity he's overcome. I mean, look at the myth of Hercules. 12 great labors he had to go through. 12. That's an interesting number. I wonder if it has anything to do with 12 months in a year. 12 great labors. 12 months in a year means he labored for a long time. You know, in numerology, 12 is a complete number. Number 1 is a number of vision. It's a number of commitment and creation. Number 2 is a number of sticking with it, gestation, keeping the faith. Do you know the number 12? I'm digressing here, but the number 12 is mentioned 187 times in the Judeo-Christian Bible, 187 times, but I digress. That's not the purpose of today. Forget balance. Choose mastery. Become obsessed. Give your all. You move towards what you focus on. Now, I hope that's been helpful to you. Let me just give you a couple of housekeeping items. We're going to be dark for the next 2 weeks. I am going to visit my family for Thanksgiving next week. I hope you're going to visit yours as well. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the entire year because we should be thankful all the time. You know, the thing I love about Thanksgiving, there's not a lot of gifts. You know, there's not a lot of glitz and glamour. It's just, what are you grateful for? I'm going to be in Kansas City, Missouri. We will shoot some ad hoc live video from there, so hopefully you'll tune in. And I don't know what we're going to do. It'll be organic, but hopefully it'll be fun. And you can maybe tune in with my family as I tune in with yours. And then we're going to be dark the next week as well, because my new documentary called Enlighten Us is coming out December 1st, and the week after Thanksgiving, I'm going to be in New York City the entire week doing media interviews and appearances and taking meetings. And so here's the cool thing. We won't have a From Ordinary to Extraordinary during that week either. However, we will be shooting some live video in some of the interviews. We'll shoot some from Manhattan. I love Manhattan, you know, from downtown New York City. And that'll be organic and ad hoc as well. So hopefully you'll tune in and you'll check those out. And I'll give you an opportunity to go to New York with me, and next week to go to Kansas City with me. Both of those places have snow, and I just, you know, hopefully, God, please, you know, just keep it warm, keep it sunny for me for that time. But if not, you know, snow is like the valley, so I'm going to embrace it. Share this with your friends and family. And thank you so much for being here. Hopefully I've given you some things to think about, to discuss with those you love and care about, to discuss with me. And I really, really, really am thankful for you. And I'll tell you again next week on the official week. But until we speak again, as always, stay awake, love life, and be epic.